ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, the Keith Byars Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just nailed it.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. The phone number to call is 937-457-9467. You get me on Twitter. Also at KAB41 at Twitter. So I'm saying you listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. It's lunchtime, hot a little after 12. Hey, I know it's, guys, you riding down the street. There's a Lee's not far from you. Make a left or right, a safe left or right, and pull in and get you something to eat. I'm well fed. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. What a week of basketball. I'm trying to get used to the NCAA changing their format. It's usually when you get to, tournament starts, it started last week when it's usually Thursday, and Friday is the first round, and Saturday and Sunday is the second round. You find out who made it to the Sweet 16, and then you get to this past weekend, and it repeats. Thursday and Saturday, who goes to the Elite Eight, and Friday and Sunday, you find out who goes to the Elite Eight. But now it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and no, they switched it. It was all now. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah. No, they play again tomorrow. No. We know who
should, because that's
right. They're right.
Saturday winners play today, and then the yesterday's winners play.
So tomorrow. 2 teams will go to the Final Four this tonight, and then 2 more will go to Final Four tomorrow night. That is right. I did mislook at that wrong. And then then it's all over next weekend, and they're going to go back. Then they get called back up. Next Saturday will be the semifinal, and then next Monday night we'll have a national champion. So they're speeding up the pace a little bit after this weekend. So that's a little bit off because if a guy sprains his ankle, he doesn't get that extra day or two to recover. But nonetheless, I absolutely love this tournament. I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks now. I love this NCAA tournament. It's unlike the football Final Four. The only similarities they have is a lot of times the best team doesn't win, in college football and certainly in college basketball. But college basketball, the hottest team wins. And that reveals, the champion, because it's only one game. If these guys, would play a 3-game, the best of 3 kind of mini series, the higher seed, I'm sure, would prevail overall. But that's not the case, So I'm going to talk about the NCAA tournament. Talk a little bit today about Ohio State spring football practices are underway. And who's going to win that running back job? I know people say, what about the quarterback job? Who's going to win that quarterback job? So all that's on the subject matter today, the things I want to talk about. But my QODTD, my question of the day, and I'm going to talk about this in detail, and you can think about it. I thought of it last week after the show. I was riding home. So I made some phone calls throughout the week to some of my friends from different athletes, professional athletes and amateur athletes, and we were just talking. So my question of the day is simply this. what is the difference between a choke and a mistake in a big time game? Whether it's the NCAA tournament, which we're all watching now, NBA's, playoffs or NBA game, football playoffs, or Major League Baseball, hockey, tennis, any athletic event. Wanting to talk about the business, if people in business choke too. But what is the difference between a choke and a mistake? And can anybody do that? So I want to talk, about that in a deeper detail. You can feel free to give me a call and chime in if you want at 937-457-9464. Reason why, that's something I want to, talk a little bit about is that being in athletics all my life, nobody ever wants to be labeled a choker. But, we all see people choke all the time. Or do we see them choke? Or are we just seeing a mistake? And what is the difference? Give me a call what you think the difference is. And I can try to help you out, we can kind of get there together. So like I said, I made some phone calls to some of my former teammates and associates, throughout the years. And it's not really a black and white answer. It's a little gray, and a lot of times it depends on who it is and how it happened. But I'm going to bring up a couple of examples in multiple sports, and maybe you can agree or disagree, or we can help get to this answer at the same time. My producer, feel free to chime in anytime you want. Also, Justin, if you want to bounce in here and give your thoughts. But the key difference is, I guess, is always crunch time, the timing of the mistake. The timing, I shouldn't say the timing of the offense when that happens. Now, I'm sure a lot of people watch basketball this weekend. And I was watching last night UCLA against Alabama. And UCLA, they advanced, and Alabama did not. And just like when Ohio State lost to Oral Roberts, you look at the stat lines and you figure out why they lost. And Ohio State lost to Oral Roberts because they was, 10 of 20 from the free throw line. That was one thing that stood out. A whole bunch of things that happened in the game, but that stood out, that jumped off the paper. And then last night, Alabama shot 11 of 25 from the free throw line. And that's like a big red flag. Jumps off the pages. They choke. Then did the whole team choke in that situation, or did the player that went to the free throw line and miss? So and overall, it's hard to just judge it off a one-time, a look at it. And a lot of those players that went to the free throw line for Alabama, they were 61% free throw shooters, 63%. So that's like 6 out of 10. So it's not the horriblest free throw percentage, but it's certainly not the best. So when they miss a shot, he's only a 60% free throw shooter. Did you think he was going to make 2? How often does he make 2? Well, just a little bit more than 50% of the time he makes 2, because he's a 60% free throw shooter. He's hitting 6 out of 10. So that means he probably makes 3, miss 1 or 2, then make another 2, and then get to 6 out of 10. And I don't really call that player choking, because not only did he miss a lot of it, wasn't just one guy. And so that's who they are. So those were just mistakes. I won't necessarily label those guys as chokers. But let's say, for example, in the NBA, Steph Curry, he goes to the free throw line. He's get 2 shots and his team is down 2. If Steph Curry doesn't make 2, I think it's safe to say, especially in this crunch time, he's choking. He didn't make a mistake, because Steph, you supposed to make those. You got to make them. But a player like Steph Curry, who's done it for so long, your knee jerk to say is he choked. But in reality, he just made a mistake. And it depends on the eye of the beholder. It depends on the moment. If that was a regular season game, it would come off he made a mistake. But if it's an NBA Finals game or any playoff game, Same situation. It's not a regular season. It's a playoff game. Now it's the choke. And I don't think that's totally fair, but life isn't always fair. At certain times, you have to come through, in those clutch and presser situations. Now, is it always have to be, can you choke in the first quarter or the first half of a ball game? Does it have to always be at the last time to be considered a choke? That's a good question also. And I think it weighs more when it happens in the end of the game, in the second half of the game. And that's just what it is. But at the same token, let's say in sports, let's say in football, if a receiver drops 3 passes, throughout the game, and he's not known as they could say he's choking. He can't, he's hitting the ball sitting around the hands, he's dropping it. Yes, he's choking in the first quarter, in the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. Why you keep throwing the ball if he's not catching it? Get him out of the game. Then that kind of goes towards the coach. Get him off the field. And we choke or make mistakes all the time. And the biggest fear is why we choke or make mistakes is what is that? It's because of fear of failure. You can go to any golf course in anywhere in America. Weekend, weekday, doesn't matter. And I'm not talking about the pros. I'm talking about you, the listener that plays golf. You got that little 1.5 foot putt. Do you putt it or do you just pick it up and say, man, that's good, we're playing gimmies? Because gimmies is not really a rule of golf. That's just weekend amateurs do. You don't see pros play gimme. They had match play this weekend, and Dustin Johnson kind of like took a gimme, and one of the players said, hey, man, I was going to give it to you. You wait for me to give it to you. So kind of that was a little bit of a stir this weekend on the PGA Tour. But in your regular foursome, when you're with your buddies, most of the time you say those are good. And when your partner don't give it to you, then you get all bent out of shape and you want to argue with him. Man, I gave you one the last hole. You gonna make me putt all these? We trying to speed up play. Yes, all those are acceptable, reasons for you to get all bent out of shape. But the bottom line is you have that fear of failure. You don't want to miss that little bitty putt. Because you don't want to talk about it afterwards when everybody, hey, man, remember on 13, you missed that little 1 foot putt, that little 7-incher, you just whiffed it. You can never. And the same goes when you're watching these NCAA basketball games. You see a player wide open. The ball's thrown to him. Shoot. He don't take a shot. He passes it, trying to get a better shot, creates a turtle. That guy's afraid of failure. You see it all the time. And that's not an indictment on a particular player, but it is an indictment on his action. And everybody is not made to come up big in big time moments. That's what separates you. You have to be a clutch performer. Everybody's not a clutch performer. Everybody, it just really isn't. And I've been faced, in my career and, my long, sports career, over multiple sports, of always wanting to be that guy in that moment. I've been blessed to come through more often than not. And I was talking to one of my buddies earlier, and I said, man, I've been, I was watching an Alabama game at UCLA, and Alabama's down 3 with 4 seconds to go, and Reese hit like a 35-footer to send the game into overtime. Those last second shots are priceless. And I know that feeling. I've only known it once. I was in 8th grade. Can you believe I went to Trotwood, Madison Junior High School? And it was 20 seconds on the clock, and we had it coming out of a timeout. And I dribbled 15 of those 20 seconds. I passed it one of my teammates for 5 seconds. He gave the ball right back to me. He didn't want it. And so I dribbled around, took the shot at the buzzer, and it went in. And I was in 8th grade. I still remember that. It is such a great feeling, but a lot of people don't want that shot. And then you fast forward the clock when I was in high school, Last couple of weeks I talked a ton about my state championship team of 1981, the Rolfe High School that's going in the Hall of Fame this summer. But along the way, one of the stories about that season, when we won the regional finals and we beat Hamilton Big Blue, my teammate William Costa hit the game-winning shot. But we're coming out of a timeout, and Hamilton Big Blue has an McDonald's All-American on their team by the name of Greg Stokes. And Coach Haley, the Rolfe High School basketball head coach, he asked, who's Stokes checking? And I said, he's checking me, Coach. Let me take him. And Coach kind of laughed. No, we're going to not now. We're going to get a ball, the coach, and let him take the shot. And I was okay with it. But the bigger point was, and, about that statement I made, and Coach Haley said, Keith, you was never afraid of the moment. I knew you was special. And I said, yeah, but Coach, you don't let me take the shot. He said, that's why I'm the head coach and you're the player. Okay, I get it. And I'm so happy that, he made the right decision to get a ball to Coach, and he made the game-winning shot. But the bigger point is I wasn't afraid of the shot. I wanted the shot. And one of those things where history we'll never know. And that was 40 years ago, but I think I'd have made the shot. They probably think they would have blocked the shot, but we'll never know. But you got to thrive on those moments and those situations and not be afraid to take it. I remember when the Miami Heat won the last championship, LeBron James, when they're playing San Antonio, LeBron James took the shot. He missed. Chris Bosh got the rebound, and LeBron wanted the ball back, but where the ball careened off the rim, Chris Bosh got it, and he kicked it to Ray Allen in the corner. And Ray took that three, let it fly, and it went in. And it was just, when the ball was in the air, I was like, when LeBron took the first shot, I wasn't mad. But I'm like, Ray Allen's on the court. Ray's supposed to take that shot. But LeBron is a superstar. LeBron wasn't afraid of the moment. He took the shot, he missed. So he didn't choke. He just made a mistake by missing the shot. Fortunately, they got one more shot at it. And Ray Allen took the shot, and he made it. But when the ball was in the air, I was like, make or miss, I can live with the results because the right guy took the shot. And Ray Allen was telling me afterwards, he said, man, I have a picture of my house taken from a different angle. When when I got the ball, LeBron had his hands out like, here, pass it over here. And he was like, I ain't thought nothing about LeBron. I'm shooting this thing. I'm like, yes, that's a shooter's unconscious, ability. Take that. And I wasn't mad at either player. If Ray would have passed it to LeBron, I'd have been a little bit upset with Ray. I'm like, Ray, you're supposed to take that shot. But if he would have passed it to LeBron, hey, LeBron, you're the franchise. You got to make this shot. You're getting a second chance. So I would have lived with either results, but I was much happier with the first result. Ray Allen taking that shot. And it's all about moments. And so whether they're on a professional level, whether they're on a collegiate level or the amateur level, which college is amateurs too, or on the high school level or below, whenever you get an opportunity to take a shot in the big game, don't pass it up. Because when you practice this shot, don't be afraid of the moment. So that's my message really to the youngsters. Don't be afraid of the moment. Thrive on it, live on it, because that's what separates you from being good, to great. That will put you in a whole different category, because you always want the football. One of my most famous games at Ohio State, when I set the school record for 274 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns, before I scored my 5th touchdown on the last drive against Illinois, we ran the ball 80 yards down. We hit the ball on the 20, and we didn't complete a pass. It was 80 yards rushing between myself and my backup tailback, John Woolridge. We just, I had majority of the carries, but John Woolridge came in and had a couple nice carries too. And once we got the ball inside the 20-yard line, I was like, nobody's getting the ball except me. Nobody. John got one. And then I carried the last one. But then this third down, for the money, are we going to kick a field goal to go up? Or are we going to, need this touchdown? And it was like, I wish they would call somebody else's number right now. But it's one of those great feelings. The time Ohio Stadium had 90,000 people. It wasn't expanded to 100,000 what it is now. But when you have 90,000 people knowing you're getting the ball, you don't want to let them down. And I don't know how many millions were watching on television. You thrive off those moments. And so the thing that when you're watching the NCAA tournament and then we'll be watching the NBA playoffs shortly thereafter, it's those moments that you get to define yourself and you want to step up in the big games. You want to step up. Now, go back to my question, the difference between a choker and a mistake. I know that team up north is still playing, but one of the last times they was in the Final Four, well, not one of the last, when they was in the Final Four in the 90s, they had a player, Fab Five freshman, and they had a player by the name of Chris Webber, on TV now doing a great job. Love Chris, good guy. But when he was at North Carolina, he was at Michigan, they're playing North Carolina, he called a timeout that cost him the national championship. And Michigan didn't have any more timeouts, so that was a technical. Did Chris Webber choke or did he make a mistake? I'll answer that after the break. And then you give me a sense to call in. So did Chris Webber choke since Michigan is the only team in the Big Ten left still in the tournament? Will Michigan choke or will they not? But I answered that question about Chris Webber after the break. You listen to the Keith Byars radio show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
March is the best time of year for basketball and the best time to buy your next pre-owned vehicle. Hurry in and join the madness and let Drive One Car and Truck in Springfield show you how to save hundreds, even thousands on your next pre-owned vehicle. And almost every vehicle comes with a platinum 6-month certified warranty. 2 locations in Springfield and over 80 top-notch pre-owned vehicles. Call 505-3653 or 717-9000. Hurry, don't dribble, drive to Drive One Car and Truck and get your next vehicle.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Millions of Americans have been affected by identity theft. Get LifeLock today and save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com with promo code RISK.
Paid for by Protect My Car. Restrictions may apply. Plans and costs for coverage may vary. Call for details.
Yo, where's your car?
Man, my engine blew, and I can't afford to get it fixed. So no car for me.
Oh, man. That's why I got me an extended service plan. That way, that blown engine would have cost you nothing to repair.
Hold up. You're saying if I had gotten that plan before my engine blew, I could have got it fixed and paid nothing?
You got that right. Drivers covered by Protect My Car will not have to pay for any covered repair bill ever again.
Man, I really should have called and got my car covered before this huge repair bill hit.
If you own a car, truck, or SUV made from $19.99 or higher, call 800-609-5638 right now to see if your car qualifies. All repairs for your engine, transmission, and much more can become a thing of the past. Just call 800-609-5638 and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Call 800-609-5638 right now. Call now to find out how you pay nothing for auto repairs. Call 800-609-5638. That's 800-609-5638.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's opponents on Man versus Train. At the crossing, we have Rick, a 175-pound frustrated man who's running late for work. And on the tracks, we have Bull, a 1 million-pound freight train that takes a mile to stop. Let's see who comes out on top.
You can't beat a train, so don't try. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
O'Reilly. This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the 3rd time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Did you know you can get paid while enjoying the great outdoors? Grunder Landscaping Company, an industry leader, is currently offering full-time year-round positions. Grunder Landscaping provides competitive wages, a robust benefit package, free uniforms, paid certifications and training, career growth, and a $2,000 signing bonus. Apply online at grunderlandscaping.com or visit in person on Fridays between 12 and 4 at 1900 Old Byars Road in Miamisburg. Bring a friend to be eligible for a $1,000 referral bonus.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune into Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Geico presents Motorcycle Word of the Day. Today's word is gremlin. Is a gremlin an unknown and persistent mechanical issue? Or is it something large that gets caught in your teeth when you ride with your mouth open? As in...
Man, I gotta stop singing 80s power ballads when I ride. Ugh, keep getting gremlins in my teeth. See?
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Millions of Americans have been affected by identity theft. Get LifeLock today and save up to 25% off your first year at LifeLock.com with promo code RISK.
It's time to swing for the fences. Want to win $1,000? Be listening weekdays once an hour starting at 6 a.m. for the winning word and enter it at wingam.com. It's the Swing for the Fences $1,000 a day giveaway right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM.
Spring forward at Banana Republic Factory with 50 to 70% off everything. Shop season favorites from colorful dresses to easy tops from $19.99. Find your nearest store or shop online only at Banana Republic Factory. Enjoy 50 to 70% off almost everything at Gap Factory and gapfactory.com. Shop tees from $6.99 and joggers from $24.99. Plus extra 15% off online. Exclusions apply. Shop the sale through April 6th.
What do you want to da-da-da? What do y'all want to da-da-da? I have not a da what to da-da-da. We could switch to Progressive to da. Oh, yeah? We could switch to Progressive and sa. We could sa and have to buy some za. Oh, yeah. Let's switch to Progressive to da and get some za with the money we saw. Yeah. Now we know we're going to da-da-da.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. It might just be the most normal thing you da-da-da.
Quote to da at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Shop safe with PayPal.
Are you ready for the real madness? It's the online Miami Valley Fortnight Tournament, brought to you by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and Connect Esports. Area youth ages 9 to 17 are invited to compete Saturday, April 10th, with a max of 99 players. Prizes will include passes for you and a group of friends to the Connect Esports console room, along with a giant Lee's Party pack of food or a brand new PlayStation 5. You must live within the Miami Valley to participate. For complete contest rules and to register, check out the events tab at connectesports.com.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
I'm Terry Krupp of Laird's Tax and Accounting. We are excited to announce we are open and here to help with your tax preparation needs. We offer multiple options, both convenient and safe. You can drop off your tax return, upload it to our secure website, or call for an appointment. We have 5 locations in the Miami Valley and 1 in Columbus to serve you. No matter the situation, we're confident we can do the job right. Visit Laird'sTax.com or call 937-325-6571. Laird's Tax and Accounting, here for you to ensure continued confidence in your tax return.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris, Ohio has immediate openings for second and third shift production associates. KTH promotes from within, offers an attractive benefits package including medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a competitive wage, starting at just over $17 per hour with annual increases. During the month of March, KTH will be hosting walk-in interviews every day from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Please bring a resume and photo ID to apply or see other career opportunities at kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
You could continuously cough for hours on end, or you could take Delsym Cough. Delsym Cough gives you 12 cough relief hours. Visit Delsym, DELSYM.com. Use as directed.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to win $1,000. It's the Swing for the Fences $1,000 a day giveaway. Each hour starting at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, we'll release a winning word that you can submit at wingam.com. It's easy, it's free, and you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So what's stopping you? Take a chance and swing for the fences and participate at wingam.com.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely, like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner with you here, interrupting the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. I wanted to give you guys an update on a very cool promotion that Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is doing right now. It's the Lee's Miami Valley. They have partnered with Connect Esports for a famous chicken showdown featuring Fortnight in the Miami Valley. This tournament is a way to make kids famous in the Miami Valley with a fun, safe environment, competing for prizes like a PlayStation 5, a PS5, and Lee's Party Pack. Kids can play at home or on location at Connect Esports in Dayton. Registration started earlier in the month. This will be held on Saturday, April 10th from 2 to 5 p.m. Registration is $10. In fact, we will have the link that you can register at that we'll push out on our social media. For those of you watching the Keith Byars Show live on Facebook right now or on YouTube, we will put the link in the comment section at the bottom. $10 to register. Again, this is coming up on April 10th. It's a Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. And keep in mind, there's only 10 spots available. We just got a text. 10 spots are left for the Fortnite tournament. And again, cool prizes, including a PS5. And I know all you parents out there running around trying to find those PS5s for your kids. Well, why don't you use their skill set to help win them one, okay? A PS5 on the line. So go get registered. Head to Facebook. Search ESPN Dayton. If you already don't follow it, you can watch the Keith Byars Show live right there every Monday from noon to 1. But you'll also see the link in the register or in the chat section at the bottom that you can click on and get your kid registered. Again, only 10 spots are remaining, so it's very important that you get there as quick as possible. Again, this tournament is coming up on April 10th from 2 to 5 p.m. We now send it back to Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I love that music. Got my juices flowing. Yes, but before the break, I was talking about my question of the day, the difference between a choker and somebody just made a mistake. And one of the examples I gave was from the team up north, Chris Webber, when he was in college, doing part of the Fab Five class in Michigan. And they was in a championship game in the NCAAs, and Michigan's out of timeout. Chris Webber has the ball, he gets tied up, and he calls timeout. And that cost him the game because that's the technical at that point. And so the team gets a free throw and the ball. And Chris Webber has had to live with that. He's went on and had a tremendous NBA career, post-NBA career, just does a tremendous job on television, calling games. But did he make a mistake or did he choke? That was my question headed into the break. And afterwards, after much thought and deliberation, Chris, you choked. Great player, but even great players choke sometime. And you're not a choker, but you did choke that time. So you Michigan folks out there, you can call me at 937-457-9464 if you disagree. But if you don't call, I know you agree. Oh, man. But I love these moments. You have to, thrive on them, and it's not for everybody. That's why, and I'm not saying, please don't take that out of context. And I don't think Chris Webber was a big time player, because he most certainly was. But sometimes you have a moment. Yeah, and even in all sports. And I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Pirate fan. You guys listen to the show any length of time, you would know that. I'm sure you know that. But when Barry Bonds was at the Pirates early in his career, when they made the playoffs, and I thought it was unfair criticism, to Barry, but they was to call him a choker in the playoffs. In baseball, they put that label on you real quick, and I think it's unfair because in baseball, you play a 162-game season. You're going to have your highs and your lows, your slump throughout the season, but it's such a long season. But then you get to the postseason, it's the best of 7. And during the regular season, you had a weekend matchup against a team, 3 games, and you may only have 2 hits all weekend. You may have went 2 for 15 that weekend, and the next weekend, or throughout the week, or the following, series, you go 10 or 15. And everybody, forgets about that 2 or 15 you went the previous weekend because they know overall you're a 300 hitter. You're going to come through more often than not. But when you get to the playoffs, everything gets magnified. And now that 0 for 4 in game 1 turns into a 1 for 5 in game 2. And then you're going into game 3 with 1 hit, 9 at bats, and you start to press. And then next thing you know, hey, man, you're in a slump. And you're starting to hear it from the media, and you don't relax and let the game come to you. It wasn't until Barry Bonds' last season in Pittsburgh when he kind of like broke the jinx, and it's like, oh, that's the MVP. Now, that's what we've seen. Where were you at in those other series? But, that's how it happens. And then other times you get to be Reggie Jackson, and you get the label of Mr. October because he came through way more often than he didn't come through in October. Everybody remembers his MVP season of, I shouldn't say everybody because Justin wasn't even born, 1978, when he hit those 3 home runs and 3 swings. I can still see it like yesterday. But he was Mr. October from there on out. But that's how you develop those things. So on every level, you can see choking, whether it's in professional, amateur, college, everybody chokes. And also on every level, you have heroes. They come through. And speaking of heroes, I mentioned it last week, but I was wondering, it bears repeating. Congratulations again to the Centerville High School basketball team winning a Division I state championship, their very first one. I say their first one because I'm expecting a second or a third. It don't have to be next year, but you can't win 2 unless you win 1, and they've won 1. And kudos to those kids. You take a state championship
at any time. But it's really trying during this, pandemic and coronavirus, and the players can't celebrate the way they normally would celebrate. I know they had a little celebration last night at the football field where about 400 or 500 fans came out and socially distanced to welcome and to thank and appreciate the basketball team, from Centerville. And maybe after we get past this pandemic, by the way, I got my first shot last Saturday. This past Saturday, me and my wife, we got our first shots, our COVID-19 shots. So if you can get one, if you're eligible, I'm in age, I'm eligible. So I got mine. I think most everybody now is eligible here in Ohio. I think I read this morning, 16 and up, can start getting shots. But, Centerville celebrated. Your very first basketball state championship. Don't let anybody downplay it. I understand, because of, the pandemic, social distancing, do as much celebration as you can, virtually, Zoom, whatever it takes. Enjoy it, guys, because you're going to remember for 40 years and beyond. I'm on 40 years of celebrating mine. I'm never going to forget it. And now you're in that club. You won't ever forget it. So kudos to the players, the administration, the coaching staff, and don't want to forget the family and the friends of those players. You won the state championship last Sunday here at University of Dayton Arena. Kudos to you. You deserved it. You went out and got it. But believe it or not, next Monday will be the NCAA, championship in basketball will be over with. But it's already spring football here in Ohio. The Buckeyes are back at practice. They had a little bit of delay, but they're back at practicing right now. Everybody wants to know who's going to be starting quarterback. I don't know, just like you don't know. I was thinking about maybe going up there and try to watch a practice, but I can wait. I can wait. I'm sure they got, I'm not going to try to pull, hey, I'm Keith Byars, let me come in here and watch practice. I don't want to pull that card. Not right now because of COVID. I want the players to stay healthy. I above want to be healthy also. But we got three guys fighting for the job, and I don't know who's going to win it. I know C.J. Stroud moved up to number 2 on the depth chart at the end of last season, but that didn't really mean a whole lot. Jack Miller, he's still, he came with just as high credentials as C.J. Stroud. He did. Jack Miller III out of Arizona. I mean, he looked good. His one little bit of the playing time that he got last year in a shortened season. And they also have a freshman quarterback by the name of Cal McCord from Philadelphia, my old stomping grounds. Cal said, not only am I coming, I'm bringing my receiver with me. Marvin Harrison Jr., who Marvin Harrison Sr. is. I played against him for a few years. He's a Hall of Famer from the Indianapolis Colts, so he got good gene pool. So those three guys are vying for the starting quarterback job. They got huge shoes to fill, and not just Justin Fields, but Dwayne Haskins and C.J. Barrett. I didn't say that right. Yeah.
For who?
For the quarterback before Dwayne Haskins.
Justin Fields for 2 years, Dwayne Haskins for 1.
I said C.J. Barrett. That's not it. JT Barrett. Jeez, I'm like CJ. Sorry, JT.
C.J. Stroud on your
C.J.
mind.
Stroud on my mind. Yeah. Sorry, JT.
This is fun though. It's been a while. I mean, Justin Fields, they had the same quarterback for 2 years in a row. Fans didn't really get to thoroughly enjoy the 2 years in a row because there was a sense that maybe he was going to go to the NFL and not wait. Remember last year,
right, exactly.
We didn't know what the future of college football was going to be. So we weren't sure. So having him play last season was nice, but it's been a while, since JT Barrett. But we're back to that big question mark of not knowing who the quarterback's going to be. Sure, the front runner, could be C.J. Stroud. Jack Miller is very good. The McCord kid you talked about. They have the Ewers kid, the number 1 prospect of 22 coming in, and next year that they flipped from Texas, by the way, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
but I joked all the time. If you're going to let one of those guys is transferring out, if not 2, So just make sure that it's not the Joe Burrow of the group that transfers out.
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, I didn't mean to take your...
No, you didn't. No. That was fine. But when Joe Burrows didn't win the starting job over Dwayne Haskins, it wasn't he didn't get dogged. No. And it was just... He lost to a first-round pick.
Well, I don't...
He lost to a number one.
I think every situation...
It was a win-win. It's very rarely it's a win-win situation for both players, but it was a win-win for both of those guys.
For quarterbacks, I never hold it against quarterbacks who want to transfer out because it's the only position that coaches don't rotate guys in. For instance, you talk about the running back, Teague, Steele, you have Travion Henderson. It doesn't matter who the premier running back is. Henderson's still going to get a ton of carries no matter who the actual starting running back actually is.
It doesn't matter.
What?
It matters.
Well, I mean, it matters, but you're still going to get your snaps. You're going to get your touches. You're going to get your field time. Receivers, you're going to be in a rotation. It doesn't matter if you're the number one receiver, number two, or the guy coming off the bench. Yeah. Same thing with linebackers, defensive tackles, offensive linemen. Everyone else, every other position on the field is packaged. Quarterback, once the starter is named, you have to hope for an injury to get time out on the field or hope that you blow out opponents left and right. Yeah. So I don't know. Quarterbacks, I usually don't harp on too much for wanting to transfer to find a situation for them because that's the money-making position, and you're not getting drafted if you're not the starter for a team. So I had no problem with that. I'm not saying I have a problem with even running backs who transfer out, but a lot of times, more times than not, you don't need to freak out about that because you're still going to get your touches. You're still going to get your snaps. Your freshman year, you were the guy your freshman year, correct?
Mm-mm.
So, but you still got time on the field, right?
Yeah, I play special teams.
So, but but there you go. But quarterbacks, you're not having your backup quarterback return punts or anything else, which for obvious reasons. But you know what I mean?
But believe it or not, when the last Heisman Trophy winner at Ohio State, Troy Smith, he was on the kick return team. Even though he was a quarterback, because he was elusive like that. He was one of the kick returners. So sometimes, rarely, do backup quarterbacks play special teams. It does happen. But that's one of the eyes, of course, the quarterback is always going to get the most attention. So that's something that a lot of eyes are watching in spring football. But the running back position, it's 5 guys that's trying to be the starting running back and want to be the feature guy. Because you want to be the feature guy, because when you're the guy, hey, offense is on the field. You don't have to look for the running back coach. Is it me? Or is it it ain't you. You're not the feature guy. So that's when J.K. Dobbins fought against, his first 2 years, at Ohio State. He came in as a freshman, first game when Mike Weber was hurt, and really won the job. But Mike Weber didn't lose a job because in college you don't really lose a job too often to injury. But as that season progressed his freshman year, they both were pretty effective. We're like, man, Weber's running harder than I've ever seen him run. And then the sophomore year, J.K. Dobbins' sophomore year, we thought Weber was leaving, but Weber came back. And it was like, you take this series, I take that series. And I believe, correct me, didn't they both get 1,000 yards that year? But it was really, it was like he got, but that wasn't JK's best season. Now, Weber moves on to the pros. And now J.K. Dobbins has a job to himself as a junior, and he runs for 2,000 yards. It's like, wow. And he should have been a first-round pick, but nevertheless, he was a second-round pick. And just a tremendous rookie year with the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we lose J.K., and then here comes in a transfer. Trey Sermon, he comes in from Oklahoma. Master Teague thought it was going to be him because he was a 1-2 punch to J.K. Dobbins. And nobody really separated themselves early in the season, even though it was a shortened season for Ohio State last year. But Master Teague would start. Trey Sermon would come in, and Trey didn't really catch the flow until November. And then once he got the rhythm, he just took the job and went on and had a tremendous end of the season, and he got hurt in the national championship game. But Master Teague kind of fell back to number 2. So now we're in spring football. It's 5 guys. There's Master Teague. There's Mayan Williams, who looked good in limited time. COVID kept him out of the national championship game. Steel Chambers is back. He's going to be a junior. Evan Pryor is an incoming freshman, and Travion Henderson. no one rated running back. So they're both highly recruited incoming freshman running backs. They're already on campus. They're in spring practice. All 5 of those guys are fighting for the job. And you have to separate yourself. You can't be afraid of competition. And I'm speaking from experience. I was in the seat that these guys are in right now, all in the meeting room. When I was a freshman, they recruited 6 running backs in my freshman class. One of the running backs moved to wide receiver in the spring by the name of Mike Lanise, and went on to be our starting wide receiver. And there was myself. There's Barry Walker, who just a tremendous player in high school and in college. He moved to fullback eventually. There's Jeff Cargill out of Cincinnati, Roman Bates, and John Woolridge. All of us were tailbacks. All of us were at least All-State. A few of us were All-American. I was All-American, and Roman Bates was, parade All-American. But we get to spring practice. All of us are fighting for the job. And by the way, it was a 7th player in the mix by the name of Kelvin Lindsey, who was academically ineligible the previous season, my freshman year, but he was eligible for his 5th year to come back. We're all fighting for the job in spring, this time of the year, where nobody's watching, and somebody has to win the job. Like you said earlier, Justin, even though you're not the main guy, you're going to get your snaps. You're going to get some carries. Yeah, but you're not getting very many. If the main guy at Ohio State back in those days is going to get the ball 20 to 25 times, and his backup is going to get 1 to 3, maybe 5 carries. So you're not going to get very many carries. So you just got to just suck it up. And you want to be the feature guy.
I've asked you this before. I mean, obviously, when you were as talented as you in high school, you always have dreams of going to the NFL. But when did you become looked at? When did you become Keith Byars at Ohio State? Not just a freshman doing special teams, waiting for your opportunity. When did you become big man on campus, but also, future NFL star too? Like, when did that start becoming the reality? Because that's where I think these kids also start freaking out about, the fast track. Oh man, if they're not a star like JK his freshman year, then they're behind already. That's not always the case. So I'm just curious for you how that works.
That's a good question. I think twofold. First off, before you become the big man on campus, you got to be the big man in the locker room. You got to get the respect of your teammates. And I think, when you're at Ohio State, everybody comes in high credentials. So you come in with some respect from them. Then you got to go out in the field and prove it. And I played out of position my freshman year. I played fullback. So I wasn't even a tailback. And so everybody said, everybody knew I was going to move back to tailback in the spring, like right now. Mm-hmm. But they said, but man, you got to position for, future fullback also. I'm like, but we got a fullback. His name is Von Brodnax. He's pretty darn special. He's a starting fullback. I don't want to back up Von for 2 years and then be the starting fullback my junior year. No, I'm going to tailback. I'm going to be a 3-year starter. So when I moved back, in the spring to tailback, we got graduation. So Tim Spencer graduated and Jimmy Gale, his backup, had graduated. And you're still shorthanded because freshmen didn't come in as well as they do now early. And so we're in practice. I'm playing fullback and tailback. And really, more fullback than tailback. And I'm getting upset that I'm not getting a lot of tailback snaps because we're trying to, keep a healthy team out there, equal balance. And, so basically I was maybe getting, to be honest with you, about 20% snaps at tailback and 80% at fullback in spring practice. And it got to a point I was upset. And it took a call from Mr. and Miss Byars to Earl Bruce. You promised my son he's going to play tailback, and he's not getting a fair shot. He's getting too many snaps at fullback. And so Earl Bruce had given my parents somewhat of a company answer. It's about the team. I'm going to give Keith an opportunity, but he's got to be patient right now. We're shorthanded. Like, no, forget that. I need some snaps. And so I'm going to run out of time. So we had 3 quote-unquote spring football games that year. We had one in Massillon, Ohio, one in Kings Island in Cincinnati, and then our main quote-unquote spring game was in Columbus, the traditional one, the steak and beans game. So we go to Massillon first. I got no carries at tailback, all fullback. And Kelvin Lindsey ran for over 100 yards, and everybody, was up at that game. They were like, man, Ohio State has their tailback. It's Kelvin Lindsey. So down the following week, we come to Cincinnati at Kings Island and play another spring game. Kelvin is having a good first half. He gets hurt at the end of the first half, and I'm blocking for him. I'm his lead blocker. It's for the guy I wanted to beat out, and I loved Kelvin. It's not personal, but I want to shine too. And at halftime, the coach said, well, Keith, you got to go to tailback since Kelvin is hurt. And we got a walk-on fullback is going to be my fullback now. I didn't care who they put out there. I don't care what lineman I had. You're talking about a person that ran possessed. I had 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards and a half. And the players and the media, like, who is this guy? Like, we know who he is, but he's kind of special. And then, the last spring game, they had us both on the same team. And then once we got to the fall, we played Oklahoma. Second game of the season, and I separated myself. There's like, wow. And then we played Iowa the following week. There's like, no, he is our guy. So that's when I became the big man on campus, and I went on to make second team All-American as a sophomore, first All Big Ten, and had over 20 touchdowns, so everybody knew me by the fall of my sophomore season. But I'm running out of time. We'll talk more about that next week. And Ohio State spring practice, hopefully they continue to stay healthy. In the meantime, we're still in the coronavirus. Take care of yourself. Get your shots. Random acts of kindness. All right, guys. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
It is Barton Hahn, Alan Hahn, Bart Scott. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Barton Hahn Show appear on the Goodyear Hotline. Dan Orlovsky going to join us here in a couple of minutes. But the number, as you know, and we are getting the calls put together, and I do promise we are actually going to take one right now. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776 at Barton Hahn on Twitter and Instagram. And Bart, before we take the call, I want to read you a couple of the tweets that we got reacting to some of the stuff we talked about in the first hour of the show. So Professor Biz said that Bart just created a new phrase, roller coaster pain. And he said, and he even added sound effects to demonstrate. I almost lost control of my car, laughing so hard. And then there's a gif of, I can't see who that is, just about to just destroy Tom Brady with a hit. And I know you've had the pleasure of those moments as well. And that sound of breath coming out of a man, you say, is probably, sounds like what again?
It can sound like something else too, but when you about to go down and you want to be tough in front, and you see a lot of this little slingshot thing that people got. When they're like, I don't want to go anymore. Then they pass out. They just give it
That's
up.
got to be the best feeling though when you get to at the end of the tackle, you're on top of the player and you just heard the breath come out of him.
Yeah.
That's the payoff, isn't it?
Because they say what they say is they say you can't put all your body weight on it, but if you do it just right, you put all your body weight on. Could you imagine the best one I ever seen was when Tony Siragusa got Rich Gannon in the playoffs right for the Super Bowl, and he separated his shoulder. But man, you just saw all that little fat just reverberated. Just like it was like a Kamala smash. It was like a Yokozuna in the corner on the chest top. You know what I mean? It was just like, man, sometimes you can get players like that. And it don't matter if you're a big guy. All you have to do is weigh more than them. And if you can tackle their arms, and you land on it ain't nothing to stop them from hitting the ground. Like when you get underneath their arms, they can put their arm down and kind of brace the fall. But man, when you get to both of their arms wrapped around,
people need to understand, man. People need to understand.
Dan's probably, you guys remember training day? Was you ever got your stuff pushed in, bro? I've had my stuff pushed in. I know Dan has had his stuff pushed in. Like
that's
training
perfect
day.
way to bring in Dan Orlovsky right now. It joins us on the Goodyear Hotline. Dan, in your years in the NFL, as Bart is describing the joy from a defensive player of tackling an offensive player and hearing the breath come out of him. Do you know that from an offensive player's perspective by any chance?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's stuffed in. It's the way. Guy, I got hit one time. Bart, you might remember his name. Who was the guy who was the defensive end for Minnesota years ago? Ray something. Ended up being like a boxer, big dude. I forget his name.
I know what you're talking about. He's a boxer. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember his name.
Like a 280, 290-pound defensive end. And he hit me up top, and I got Kevin Williams at my hip, and I just remember getting up and being like, "Ugh," and I couldn't breathe, and both of them looked at me and laughed, and I was a young kid, and I was like, I literally couldn't breathe. I was like, "Ugh," and they were just looking at me laughing, and I was like, "Oh, this is the NFL."
They was like, "Got him!"
Yeah, right.
Hey,
As
Dad,
Chris Canty once said, "There's real killers out there." It's the truth about the NFL.
Dan, I don't want to beat around the bush with you, Dan, because listen, Ray Edwards, we rarely ever agree on anything. We rarely ever agree on anything. But man, if we aren't lockstep with what I feel about Sam Darnold, but what the San Francisco 49ers did was dangerous. I don't want to say dangerous, right? What they did was risky, because if they move all the way up from 12-3 and give all that draft equity up to get Mac Jones and pass on Trey Lance, he could potentially be Mitchell Trubisky. Am I wrong? Am I tripping?
Well, I'd say this. The difference between a guy like Mac Jones and Mitchell Trubisky was an athlete that they thought they could make a quarterback. And they drafted off the athletic traits, where Mac Jones is a guy that is unquestionably a quarterback that you have to go, are his athletic, quote unquote, limitations in comparison to some of the other guys the flaw that we can't overcome? And I don't think that San Francisco looks at it, because here's the thing, like Matt Ryan, who I've come to Mac Jones to for, months now, Matt Ryan ran 4.89. Well, Mac Jones ran 4.83. Jimmy Garoppolo ran 4.97. Mac Jones ran 4.83. So he's a better athlete, or at least equally athletic. And I know straight line speed isn't everything, but it's at least in the conversation. I think Kyle Shanahan realizes that he's just a great offensive mind. He's had 3 top 5 offenses, all 3 with different kinds of quarterbacks: Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and RG3. I don't think that he's sitting there going, I got to have a crazy expensive quarterback. I think he's going, okay, Mac Jones is really good. He fits exactly what I want to do. I can get for him for 5 years on the cheap. Would I rather have Jimmy Garoppolo or Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins that are really expensive? Or would I rather have Mac Jones that I'm going to make really good, and then that gives us 5 years of financial freedom in our organization? That's why I have thought for 4 weeks now that they want Mac Jones.
But you couldn't have got Mac Jones at 12? So, but you're saying he's not expensive. He is expensive. In draft equity, that is very expensive, because that means you're not going to have 3 first-round draft picks, some second-round picks. These are the guys that are the foundation of your team, and you're giving them away for Matt Jones. And you could have got him outside of New England. Who was connected to Matt Jones?
Well, I think is the question, could you have gotten him at 12? Fair. It's the same thing with the Giants years ago with Daniel Jones. Could you have gotten him at 17 and not 6? I can tell you this. I guarantee you that New Orleans would have been intrigued by Mac Jones. I guarantee you that Pittsburgh would have been intrigued by Mac Jones. Carolina. So, you have to figure out, do you roll the dice? Now, what would you rather have? The roster or the financial flexibility or the first-round pick? It depends on who you think you are as an organization. Like some teams, they want the first round pick. Well, I would rather have some financial flexibility, because I'm paying for a proven commodity in the NFL. When I go into free agency, I'm paying for guys that I know can play, rather than first round draft picks that I think can play. Whether my draft history is really good or not, I think they can play.
That's always the debate, right? Which way you want to go, because it's always about the younger player, and you kind of buy yourself time that way. And everybody talks about the rookie contracts as well, but you go with, if you have cap space, you want to go with established players that you already know have a track record of success. It's Bart and Hahn. We're talking with Dan Orlovsky on the Goodyear Hotline. So Dan, all right, if the Niners move up to 3 and have their target at 3, what does that say for the Jets? Mike Tannenbaum believes that they are now all in on Zach Wilson after, of course, his amazing pro day that we all got very excited about on Friday. But for you, do you think that's a given now?
Yeah, I think the Jets as of Friday are going to take Zach Wilson. I will say this: I think pro days are stupid. I don't care what you do in shorts. You're never going to do it in real life. But I do think they're going to take Zach Wilson. Let me say this, though, because, you got to see all the talent at Pro Day. Great. We've all watched the games or tape, and we see his talent. I am very much so in my own camp. He better be just as good off the field, because for him to dig that organization out of the dump, it's not going to just be because he could throw a ball falling to his left across the field. That arm is not going to do it itself. He better have the competitive fire of Lamar Jackson that has catapulted Baltimore. And he better be the guy that makes his teammates fall in love with him like Josh Allen has done in Buffalo. And he better be the moxie that Baker Mayfield's done in Cleveland. And he better be the alpha leader that Patrick Mahomes has done in Kansas City. That's part of the reason why those guys have catapulted their teams. Talented, yes, but off the field, they're great. And I think Zach Wilson, because of the situation in New York, has to go be spectacular. He can't be an upgrade over Sam Darnold, just a slight upgrade, because it's not you're just the Jets are taking him at 2. That's pressure in and of itself. But the Jets are taking him at 2, getting rid of a young player at that position that they had just taken at the 3rd draft slot 3 years ago, and also passing unlikely 3 or 4 more first-round draft picks. That is pressure. That is stress. And that is burden. Zach Wilson is going to have to be great for that move to be quote unquote justified.
I'm so glad you said that, because I absolutely believe the same thing with Wilson. I think it's got to go beyond the field, and a guy that has a headband with sayings on it, a guy that's really trying to draw a lot of attention to himself. I worry so much about that when you bring that element to New York, where obviously the minute he's drafted, he's now going to become, the next Lion King, and everybody's going to want to believe in him, and a lot of attention goes with it. How does he handle it? Because the thing I love most about Sam Darnold is since day one, he has kept that kind of humble persona. He has been that guy off the field that you love. When you interview him, he gives you, it's always the same with him. Now, again, the model thing, how he got it, it's in the past. But I just think the way he handled himself off the field made it that big of a deal. So that's going to be important. If we can go on to the other team in New York, and that is the New York Football Giants. The owner said that he believes Daniel Jones is good enough to lead the Giants to a Super Bowl. Do you see Daniel Jones as that guy? Do you feel like this is a huge year for him, just a prove-it year for Danny Dimes?
One, I do not see Daniel Jones as that guy. 2, it would have been great if Mayer came out and said no. I'm being but we're going to keep him anyway.
Right.
Here's my thing right now with the Giants, because I've gotten into it a little bit with the Giants fans over the last 24 hours or so. Dude, if you guys think that this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones, that's on you as a fan. Do you expect progress? Absolutely. But it's unrealistic to think that he's going to take this Josh Allen type of 3rd-year jump. This one of the worst offensive lines in football. So, fingers crossed Saquon comes back, and he's Saquon that we've seen in the NFL with some of his flashes when he's healthy. Great. And Kenny Golladay, certainly. But Kenny Golladay, the highest paid free agent receiver this year, I'm not on board with that upgrade, no doubt about it. But, I'm not expecting Daniel Jones just to catapult, because he doesn't have Josh Allen's Buffalo Bills offensive line. He didn't get his Stephon Diggs. He doesn't have his Cole Beasley. And he doesn't have his Brian Dable. And so do I expect progress out of Daniel Jones? Yes. But this is the reason why I get so frustrated with football teams in the NFL, because they take a guy at 6 and they expect him to be something that he's not. Taking a guy at 6 should be a guy that can carry an organization, cover up for deficiencies. And he's not that player, but they are going to expect him to be this year. And now, what conversation we're going to have a lot about Daniel Jones, in my opinion, 9 months from now. The same one that the Jets are having about Sam Darnold. You know what? He's not what he thought we were going to be. But have you really supported him? So it's that they're going to be in that kind of situation where what do we do?
Yeah, here's the difference to me about Danny Dimes' situation opposed to Sam Darnold. I think they have supported him with an offense that can propose a lot of problems for a defense. They have 2 tight ends. I think it allows Ingram to be able to be in the slot where he's more comfortable not having to secure the edge. I think you can kind of cover up for Nate Solder. We don't know what he is, but you can cover him up with a tight end. I don't know if they're going to put him at left tackle or right tackle. Thomas was better at the end of the season. And if they decide to go with their first-round draft pick with the best available offensive lineman to try and replace Zeitler or upgrade at the center position, then I think Daniel Jones has no excuse not to have the same improvement improvement that Josh Allen has. I believe he's an underrated runner of the football. I think he's just a tick underneath Josh Allen as far as being able to run and create with his RPOs. He's more athletic than people give him credit for. But it's going to come down to Saquon Barkley. Can Saquon Barkley pull that eighth man in the box? Because I think the conversation after this year isn't about Daniel Jones. It's about that at number 2, like we always say, that's supposed to be a gold jacket. And Saquon Barkley hasn't lived up to expectations. Now you can say it's because maybe he's injured, but he's no McCaffrey. And we were sold a bill of goods that he was McCaffrey. He was a guy that was going to be able to be a thousand guy. Right. And he hasn't been durable and he hasn't made his team better. So I think this is more about Saquon Barkley. And do we pick up his option? Do we sign him long term or do we allow him to walk than it is about
Bart, I agree with that point in regards to 2 things. The offensive line, like I think that if somehow Penei Sewell fell to them or they take Rashawn Slater and they hit, because there's Andrew Thomas right now looks like a relatively fair question mark. If they hit, then the conversation gets expedited for Daniel Jones. But they got to give him an offensive line to actually function consistently. He's had one game in his last 18 games. He's had one game that has gone over 2 touchdown passes. He's had that many games that have gone over 3 interceptions. He's had 2 games to go over 300 yards. He's had 4 to go under 200 yards. So, I get it that you want to see progress. But I agree. The worst thing that could happen to the Giants organization this season is that Saquon Barkley is good. Not great and not terrible, but good. Because the last thing you want to do is pay a bunch of money to a guy that has been good but injury-ridden.
Yeah, and you know what that's going to be? That's going to be $15 million because he's going to be the gold standard. Because it's not about what Saquon Barkley brings on the field, it's what he brings off the field and how he carries himself. So you're going to have to reward him if he has an good season because they're going to project, is he going to be better next year, 2 years from the ACL?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Dan, it was great insight as always. Good to talk to you, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on both sides. Wait, what? You have the same birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Leo, that's why we're strong, opinionated people.
Yeah, man.
Now it makes
Bart,
sense.
what are you going to turn? You turned 52 this summer?
No, I say I turned the same age as your suit, 20.
Danny, appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Be good, fellas.
All right, take it easy. That was Dan Orlowski giving us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
Loaded, son.
No contract, no compromise. There's no doubt about that. Let's grab a couple of calls here. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Interesting what he said there, too, about Daniel Jones and the Giants. I mean, that's a take I wasn't expecting, actually, but it's pretty strong if you think about it. And it's true. What is John Merrick going to say when he's asked, do you think he can take you to the Super Bowl? I don't know. Because the minute you show hesitation, right? The minute you show hesitation, that's the headline. It's a bigger headline than that you believe that he can.
Yeah. See, I think Daniel Jones' floor is Alex Smith. I think his floor is a lot higher than Sam Darnold.
That's not terrible. Yeah,
I think his floor is a lot higher.
The way you just described floors and ceilings versus Sam Darnold, it means you're a lot higher.
Now, I think his ceiling's the same, maybe slightly. He's bordering like Josh Allen. If he had a Josh Allen season, I wouldn't be surprised. He's shown me special on numerous occasions. Like he's been fighting, with against what he was dealing with, the bad offensive line, no running game, and he still was making guys
turnovers
special.
too, though.
Yeah, but that's a Junior Whopper hands. That's tied. That's tied in to protection as well. Let's take
no doubt about it. Let's take a call. Yeah, I think we have Chris in Florida. Chris?
Yes. Hi, guys. I got a scenario with that number 2 pick with the Jets. Obviously, the value of it just went up. And I'm kind of with Bart on giving Sam an opportunity with talent around him. Atlanta needs a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback. Denver needs a quarterback. They're all talking about those teams possibly wanting to move up. What if the Jets sold that pick for a lot of draft capital to Atlanta at number 4? People assume the top 4 picks are going to probably be quarterbacks. So if you're sitting at number 4 and you're the final spot for a quarterback, who's to say you don't turn that pick and flip it to Carolina or Denver on even more draft capital? You could essentially wind up with 4 to 5 first-round picks next year.
Yeah. I like that. Flipping twice, man. Flipping twice and then taking Penei Sewell. You know what I mean? Right after, like, you know.
But isn't that what the Dolphins? The Dolphins just did that, right? The Dolphins just flipped twice.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
But they moved back up. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a very great thing. You know, if you can flip it twice, if you can get 2 first-round draft picks by moving back twice, 2 futures, and then now next year you got 4 first-round draft picks.
Like you still think there's a chance that Carolina.
Oh yes.
Maybe or
Carolina.
Atlanta.
Listen, Chicago.
You think Carolina's that team, right? That'd be aggressive to jump up to 2, and so that's maybe what Joe Douglas waiting on.
Listen, they think that Denver's to me is the one. Because Denver has a championship caliber defense, right? Von Miller's coming back. They're probably going to try, so they got that. Locker is not the answer. Drew Lock is not the answer.
Yeah, clearly.
You look at their skill positions, man. With Sutton coming back, you got Judy, you got Fant. What do you start? Melvin Gordon? Like, come on, man. Like, let's go. Let's go. Chop, chop. Look, Vince Fangio understands that he got to be all in now. Big Fangio, like 65 years old. He ain't got time to be wasted. He on deck. He about to be going fishing in a little bit.
Now you're throwing around shade about how old somebody is. Well, but you're right, though, about the skill set there. There's no doubt. And then quarterback seems to be that place. Who was it we talked to? Who we talked to there that was making it pretty clear that if Deshaun Watson at the time would have been available, he'd be all over it.
Exactly.
God, who was it from that team that we were talking to a couple of weeks ago? But either way,
it Juju?
No.
Okay.
Was it? Never mind. I'm drawing a blank. This is what happens when you just, work too much information.
Yeah,
it's all good. And I'm not making excuses, not at all. But we will keep the calls rolling. 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776 for those listening on 98.7 ESPN in New York City. Michael K. He starts his show right after ours at 2 o'clock. That's a new time now on 98.7 in New York. So we want to let you know about it because we're excited about leading into his show once again, like we used to back in the day when we were also local in New York as well. So we have that happening on the show. We got audio files coming up. We're going to keep rolling with your calls as well. Buffet is open. NFL, NBA, March Madness, whatever it is on your mind, we'll get to it. But first, Bart has this from ZipRecruiter.
The football offseason is always wild with all the trades, free agent signings, and new coach hires. Teams have to be excited for the upcoming season. If you want to hire people that you'll be really excited about, then team up with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter matching technology finds people with the right experience for your job and actively invites them to apply. No wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter gets a qualified candidate within the first day. To try ZipRecruiter for free, just go to the exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Bart. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/BART. Back after this, the buffet.
Coming up Tuesday, 2 teams will punch their ticket to the Final Four. And we'll tell you if any of tonight's teams can knock off Gonzaga and cut down the Nets at the end. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, Monday morning on ESPN Radio.
Here's the good news. Even with high unemployment, there's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today at mycomputercareer.edu. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Plenty of sunshine today with a high temp of 56. Clear skies tonight, low 41. Sunny, breezy, and warmer tomorrow with a high near 70. We'll get some rain Wednesday morning with a cooler high of just 50. I'm John Bailey for 1410 ESPN Radio.
911, what's your emergency?
This car, an SUV, it was going across, it went around the barrier and the train. Oh God.
Ma'am, did a train hit an SUV? Is that what happened?
Yes, the train is still going. The train is believe it.
You can't judge the speed of an approaching train. That's why the signals are there. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
O'Reilly. Trust the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts to recommend the best products for your car, like 5 quarts of O'Reilly full synthetic motor oil and a MicroGuard filter, just $26.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and improve performance with a synthetic oil change. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's totally normal to be constipated with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way. You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives to help relieve belly pain and let you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Individual results may vary. Do not give to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor today. You may be able to save on Linzess and make fewer trips to the pharmacy. See if you're eligible to pay as little as $30 for 90 days. Visit linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Paid for by Protect My Car. Restrictions may apply. Plans and costs for coverage may vary. Call for details.
Yo, where's your car? Man, my engine blew, and I can't afford to get it fixed, so no car for me.
Oh, man, that's why I got me an extended service plan. That way, that blown engine would have cost you nothing to repair.
Hold up. You're saying if I had gotten that plan before my engine blew, I could have got it fixed and paid nothing?
You got that right. Drivers covered by Protect My Car will not have to pay for any covered repair bill ever again.
Man, I really should have called and got my car covered before this huge repair bill hit.
If you own a car, truck, or SUV made from $19.99 or higher, call 800-609-5638 right now to see if your car qualifies. All repairs for your engine, transmission, and much more can become a thing of the past. Just call 800-609-5638 and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Call 800-609-5638 right now. Call now to find out how you pay nothing for auto repairs. Call 800-609-5638. That's 800-609-5638.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5000.